Good morning, Flosstube. This is Kathy, and this channel is the So-and-Sos. Now, as you can tell, I'm missing Nancy. Nancy has decided that she doesn't have time with all of her life events to do videos, so you're stuck with me. I'm going to be the one and only old so-and-so, I guess. We'll see. We'll get her back on here for hopefully a few videos now and then to catch up, but life gets in the way, and there are some things that just are more important than Flosstube. And I understand completely, but I'm not ready to give it up yet, I guess. So you're stuck with me. I was going to tell you that she was abducted by aliens, but I didn't think you'd believe me, so I skipped that part. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing well. It's been like 6 or 7 weeks since our last video, and several people have been asking me about it. So I thought today I would just get on here and catch you up on what I've been doing. Nancy has been doing tons of quilting and stitching. She's had several finishes, and she's posting them on Instagram, so you need to keep up with her on So Cozy Quilting, and you can see all her finishes and works in progress on there. So I just want to thank everybody for all the great comments from our last video. That was number 13. This is video number 14. And just all the comments are always so sweet, and we really appreciate everyone for their support and for their comments. I'm going to start out with finishes I've had in the last few weeks. The first one, when I was at Quilter Station, we were given this little box, and by Rita that owns Quilter Station. This was our retreat gift, and she also handed out a blackbird pattern that Alma said we could stitch, but I saw this little free pattern from Heart and Hand, and it's in her newsletter. So if you sign up for her newsletter, you can get this little free pattern, and it says, "Do what you love, stitch." And it was the perfect size to go on this little round box. So I stitched that up. I'll let you get a closer look at it. It's so cute. Has a tomato and scissors and spools and buttons, and it's just adorable. And it stitches up really fast, and I just put some rickrack around the edge to cover up the edge, and it's on my little box. I use it for an orc container. You can shut the lid, and that doesn't get all over. My cat doesn't get into it. That's the most important. So I don't have threads all over the floor. And that was the first finish. Then I finished, oh, wait a minute. How could I forget? I finished Teresa Kogut's sampler. It's called Our Dwelling Place. I've already sent it to her. She has it. And if you're on her Patreon, she has put it up on her Patreon, so you can go see it. And it's just beautiful. The design is amazing. It would be a great sampler for someone who hasn't done a sampler before and they would like to. There's also probably at least 4 smalls that you could pull out of it if you don't want to do the whole thing. It's pretty big. I think it turned out around 14 by 16, something like that. And it has stars down the border, and it's amazing. The colors are wonderful. It's sort of Americana, but not really. It's got grays and dark blues and dark reds and beiges. It's just beautiful. So she's gonna get it framed at Craft Gallery probably in July, and she said she'll probably release it this fall. She's not sure, August or September. It depends. She's going to Missouri, so they can't have a release and leave town and have all these orders coming in. So she will definitely let everyone know when that's going to be released. And it was fun to stitch. I'm really glad it's done because it was huge, and I stitch a lot of smalls. So I like to have one big thing going and then stitch a bunch of smalls. So it was really fun to get that big thing done. And now you can take a look at it if you're on her Patreon. So that was a big finish. Then this is a little finish. These are, whoop, it has glass on it. These are Lori Holt's Stitchy Cards Set P. And I stitched them 1/1 on 28 count Lugana. I think it was ivory Lugana. So they came out in well, this is a 3x3 frame. The whole is 3x3. So they're 1.5 inches about a piece. And all the borders, everything's the same size. You could stitch them horizontally, vertically, in a square like this. If you put the same color border on all of them, you can just squish them together and they make a really cute border. I saw someone on Instagram had done that, but I had already started mine, so it was too late for me to change. But it's just the sweetest, tiniest little thing. I think it turned out really cute. So that was another one. These are the cards. I have them right here. You can get them at Fat Quarter Shop, and they're really cute individually. What do I have? They kind of go this way, I think. Yeah. That's the scissor one. This is the sewing machine. That's a little quilt. And this one is the spools with the sew. They're great because they're all the same size. You can interchange them, interchange the borders. You can do whatever you want with them. They all fit together. They're really cute by themselves as little pillows or all done together, however you want to display them. So that was fun. I finished that. And then I did a punch needle. This is Little House Needleworks, one of their punch needles. I think they have a few punch needle patterns. I don't know how many, but this is one of theirs. And Vonna Pfeiffer was doing a punch needle tutorial. I already knew how to punch needle, but I would just loved this design. So she started it on her video, and I started along with her, and I finally got it done. I think I'm going to put it in a frame. My husband's going to have to build me one to fit because it's not a standard size. But I just temporarily put it on this black wool. But these are so fun. It's just thread. And it's like a little rug or something. They go really fast. I hadn't worked on it for a long time, but when I picked it up again, I sat down and finished it. So it really doesn't take that long to do them. They're fun. They turn out so pretty. You can frame them. You can put them on a project bag. You could attach it to a piece of wool, make it a mat. There's just about anything you could do with cross stitch, you can do with punch needle. In fact, you could probably do more with punch needle. I really enjoyed doing it. It's fun. So that's that one. And then I finished, I'm working on some Patriotic because I have no Patriotic. I don't know why. I like Patriotic. I just don't stitch it. But I found this. I collect birds of a feather patterns. And this is the pattern. It's called Land That I Love. It's kind of a tiny little picture there. Hope you can see it. Land That I Love. And it's just really simple. It stitches up really fast. And it turned out 5x7. And I had this oak frame. So I used the oak frame and framed it up. It's just so cute. It only uses about 10 colors. And it's real easy to do. And then I put paper on the back. I haven't got my hanger on yet. I need to do that. It's oak, so I think my husband's going to have to drill some holes for me. But I stitched it on 36 count Legacy Picture This Plus, 1 strand over 2 threads. So it'd be the same as 18 count Aida if you wanted to stitch it on Aida. And it just goes really fast. I really enjoyed that one. Whoop. Knock the camera off. Good grief. Then I fully finished this one, A Humble Life from October House, that I showed you a while back. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. This is the pattern. Live a Humble Life by October House. And I stitched it on 36 count parchment linen by Weeks with all the called for colors. And so this is all stitched. It's kind of long and narrow, as you can tell. And I decided to turn it into a little trifold needle book. And so that would be the front of it. And then, of course, there's the back and that. And then inside, the wool heart is to put needles in. There's pockets here. This is a pocket with a divider. You could put little scissors or something in there. And then this has a magnet under it. Your scissors can go on here. It's a really strong earth magnet, or needles or whatever. But I just thought it was a cute way to do this rather than just framing it. You could tie a piece of ribbon around it. I didn't want to attach anything to the middle of the stitching, but it stays folded. If you put things in it, you'd probably want to just wrap a ribbon around it and tie it shut just to hold it shut. But it's really cute. And I love the way it turned out. It's such a cute pattern. It stitches up really fast. It has a little bee skep and teeny tiny little bees. You probably can't see them there. And then the house. And on this side is the little girl and some little birds or butterflies and flowers and stuff. Anyway, it's just a fun one to stitch up. I had a good time with that one. I liked the way it turned out. So I got that all done. Then I had some things that from Retreat. This was a paper project. I'll take these out first so I can show you. This was from Needlework Press from Vicki Jennett. She said it's pronounced like Bennett, so it's Vicki Jennett. And she gave us this, or no, she didn't give it to us. I purchased it from Christine Hollis. She had it in her store, and it had been released at Market, and I picked it up from her at Retreat. So this is a paper package that comes with all the paper. You just cut it out, and you punch little holes in it. It's a reproduction of an antique that Vicki has. And it has little verses. There's Friendship's Wish and Memory. These little verses are in here that are really cute. You can put orts in it. You can put your scissors and your little stitchy stuff next to your table. It's just really cute. And then it also came with these labels. This was another kit. It had these labels and these little match boxes. You just cut them out and glued them to the matchbox. And it made these really cute little antique doodlies. I have 2 of them that came with it. And then this was a needle reproduction of a needle book that you cut out and just folded it up like they did the old paper needle books. So it's number 4 sharps, but it's just really cute. And I just keep all this stuff in my little paper box that I made. So it's kind of fun. I just put it all in there. There also was some other photos and pictures of labels that you can cut out and use for ephemera if you do journaling or just want to stick it on a notebook or whatever. You can cut them out and use them any way you'd like. And then another thing I finished, I had this little chair, And Nancy actually went camping this weekend and went antiquing and found a little chair. It's different than mine. Hers has, I think, spools on the side and it had a pillow in the back and the front. Well, I had this little one that I've had for a while sitting ready to do the bottom. And I hadn't figured out what to do on the bottom. And I was digging through a drawer the other day and I found this little miniature, I think it's courthouse steps block that I had made, and it's kind of wonky in the middle, so I'd just kind of thrown it in there and hadn't done anything with it. And I thought, I think that would fit that chair perfectly. So I got it out, and sure enough it did, and I stretched it, put some batting in there and stretched it over a piece of mat board, and then just put some, it's kind of a chenille but not real fuzzy around the edges to cover the edges. And then I had these two, it has this little hook up here, and I had these 2 little strawberries hanging around. So I just hung them on there. But you can find these pretty often in antique stores or thrift stores. If you can find items from someone's sewing room in an estate sale or something, a lot of times these little chairs have been pin cushions, and you can take off the old stuff and recover them and make something new out of them. So I think that's really cute. I have a little doll that will probably fit in it. And then what else do I have here? I think that's about all. I have one past finish to show you, and I'm sad to say this is like my only Patriotic that I have done. Now that I have Land That I Love finished, I can display the 2 of them together. This is Brenda Gervais' Happy Birthday America. This is the pattern. And it's, you make this little drum, which is actually, it's not a true drum. It's the base. This is the lid. And this is the base of a round paper mache box. And you paint a candlestick and glue it to look like a cake stand. And then this is the cake. So this fabric came in the pattern as a kit. And you glue this to the outside of the box and paper on the bottom and the palm. And then this is like the top of a drum where you finish it on you gather it and pull it tight around a circle of mat board. And then just glue it to the top of the opening. It's just a little bigger than the opening on the paper mache box. And you glue it to the top. And it's got the cutest little strawberries and bunting and the little bird and the flag. And then you just display it like that, like it's a cake on a cake stand. So that's pretty cool. And so I stitched it on the called for, it was a kit. So it came with the called for, I think it's just natural linen and 36 count and all the threads that were called for. And it turned out really cute. It was easy to finish. She has absolutely wonderful finishing instructions. Everything I've ever learned to finish, I learned from either Brenda Gervais or Vonna Pfeiffer tutorials. And then last year, I thought these were cute. Last year at Amana Farm Girl Gatherings last fall, I found these 3 little milk bottles full of red, white, and blue buttons. So I'm going to display them with my 4th of July and Patriotic. When I get more stitched, that would be good. So let's move into things that I want to stitch in the upcoming days, hopefully before the 4th of July. I found this little one from JBW Designs, and it's called Sweet Nothings, My Country Sampler. And it says, it's very tiny. It says, my country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. It's 4 inches by 6.5 on 28 count linen. I'll probably do it on either 28 count Lugana over 2, or I may do it on 36 count linen. So it'll be pretty small, but it's got a tiny little church and a schoolhouse and houses, and there's an alphabet in there. The hills are kind of alphabets, and then stars across the top. It's just very cute. And then you can get a button. This heart is a button right here, a flag button. I don't have the button, but I can get it. So I want to stitch that. That'll go fast. And I ordered this kit from Shepherd's Bush called My Home Sweet Home. And oh, the glare is bad. It is so cute. I've seen it stitched up and it's adorable. I love Shepherd's Bush because their things come as kits. They've got the linen, all the threads, and their silk, and then buttons. And I don't stitch with silk unless I get it in a Shepherd's Bush kit. But I think that is going to be really pretty. So that's going to go with my little display when I have it done. And the last one I have is Plum Street Samplers Summertide Blessings. And it's got a flag and a crow and tomatoes, which are my favorite things in the whole world. And I want to get that one done for Patriotic display as well. That should be fun. So I have those things to do coming up. As far as whips, I really only have one going right now. It's another semi-patriotic. It's got a flag. It's Home Sweet Home by Brenda Gervais that came out at Market this year. And of course, it's got birds and strawberries, and I just love it. A house. I am stitching it on 36 count natural. And this is where I am at the present. I've got the house done in the flag. I'm working my way up the side. There's some quilt blocks here and a little robin, and then the other robins over here. So it's stitching really fast. I think I've only stitched 2 nights on this. And it's going to be really cute. I have this in this bag. I think you've seen it before that I made. It's a fun fabric. I just love this fabric. And then I have another punch needle all ready to go. And this, all I have is, I have it traced on here. I haven't started it yet. I have all the Valdani floss that's called for. This is a Brenda Gervais pattern that is quite dated. It was out of Piecework magazine. Let me see if I can find the date. March, April of 2012. So this is what it's going to look like when it's finished. It's adorable. And I don't know that this has ever been released as a pattern. I think this is the only place I've ever seen it. And Piecework is one word, Piecework, Piecework magazine. They do have a website, pieceworkmagazine.com, so you may be able to get a copy of it. It's March, April 2012. So hopefully that's still around. I've never seen this pattern printed, but I can't wait to get started on it and get it going because it's one of my favorites. The Valdani floss. The good thing about Valdani floss for punch needle is you don't have to cut it and pull it apart. I have it. The first thing I'm going to use here started. I have this little thing. It's called a string thing. And you put your ball in there and you can just pull it out. So once you thread this color in your punch needle, you can just go and go and go. You don't have to stop till you're done with that color. This is part of the robin. These are the other colors. They're just little tiny balls. Whoops. I can't hold them so you can see them. There they are. Little balls of Valdani 3-strand. And you don't have to separate it. You can just put it in your punch needle and go to work. I don't know if I've showed you this. I made this little thing. I believe this is Threadwork Primitives pattern, and it holds my punch needles. And it just says punch needle on it and has a little bird. You just make a little pocket. And see, I have my needle threaders and my punch needle in here. So it keeps them all together in my bag when I'm working on it. So that's fun. I think it's Threadworks Primitives, I'm pretty sure. So that's what's in this bag. These are really handy. If you don't have one of these, just take a baby food jar or any size jar and poke a hole in the lid, just enough so you can get your thread through it, and it does the same thing. So if you don't have a nifty string thing, you can make your own. And this is a bag I made for myself a couple of years ago. I have a little macrame thingy-dealy on it, but I keep my punch needle in here because it's taller and zips from the top and it's easy to get it in and out. My hoop will fit in there, whoops, which I forgot to put in. So next time I'll show you what I have done on this. It's all traced, ready to go, and you work on it from the back so all the threads come out on this side. And you have to have, this is called a Morgan hoop, and it has to be tight as a drum. I really like this. You just have to be really careful when you're punching through not to get your hand or your knee or your cat or anything else behind it, because you will poke it and it's very sharp and it hurts. So you don't want to do that. Just a warning from the wise, because I haven't done it to myself. Okay, what else do I have today? Oh, my friends who are Mary and Brad and their daughter Courtney are antique dealers. They have several booths and they go around and do estate sales and thrift stores and find all kinds of marvelous things. And they came to visit a week ago, I believe. And Mary brought me 2 child sewing machines. This one is a Singer, and this one is a little K and B Sewmaster. And they are adorable. I just love them. This little Singer is cast iron or something. It's really heavy. And this is just a little toy one. Well, they're both toy ones, although the Singer will actually sew. It's got all of its parts and pieces. It even has a guide here for your seam width. You can change that. It's got all these little goodies up here. It's adorable. You can raise and lower the thing. It still works. I just love it. Thanks, Mary and Courtney. And then I actually went into an antique store downtown in Twin Falls. I live in the canyon outside of Twin Falls, Idaho. And there was an antique store that I was killing time before I was going to go play music. And I went in the antique store and I found this darling, beautiful miniature child sewing machine. It's one in the best condition of any that I have from this era. It was made in Germany. You can see the hand painting on it. And there's no rust on it. It's in perfect condition. It's even got this teeny little wire, curly wire thing on the top. It is just in such good condition. I'm going to have to look it up. It has a number on it here, and I haven't had time to look up the serial number to see when it was manufactured. It even came with the box. It's in pretty rough shape, but it is the box. And inside, besides the sewing machine, it has the clamp to clamp it to the table when you're using it. It has some little pieces of fabric to stitch on, and it had the little directions for it. So it's very cool. I couldn't believe it. In my own hometown, I had a gem like this waiting for me to swoop in, and I didn't shoom it because it wouldn't go over the internet. It's a real thing. But I swooped in and I bought it. And I love it. It's so cute. So that was my big find of the year. I try to buy one everywhere I go. If I make it to an antique store, I look for child sewing machines. And I found one. Couldn't believe it. Oh, here's another thing sitting here that I made. I did a little bit of crocheting. I made this little chick. And this was a free pattern I found on the internet. And I just used some cotton. I don't even remember. It's not number 2. It's even smaller than number 2. Some remnants of cotton yarn I had laying around. And made this little chick. It was so fun. Just little parts. You do each little part and stitch them on there. And you have a little chick. I like chickens. So its little tail's kind of funky, but it's pretty cute. So I like to do crochet too. It's fun. And then I just put little beads on for the eyes. So there's that. Okay, then I thought I would show you. I had some chenille. And I decided I dyed it, but I didn't leave it in the dye long enough. So instead of red, it was pink to begin with. And I put it in red dye, but I didn't leave it in long enough. I think I left it in about 5 minutes. You're supposed to leave it in 30. I didn't read the directions, of course, until I was done. So I'm going to re-dye some of it. But I thought, I have this little scrap. I'm going to make some strawberries. So I fiddled around with what you would use for a pattern, what shape it would come out. I think I like this one the best, actually. This is a real strawberry shape. And I sat down with some tracing paper and my trusty, whatever this is called. Oh, what is this called? Protractor. That's it. My trusty protractor from school. And I started for the big one. This is the big one. It's a long pointy one. I started in the corner of the piece of paper, so I had a good 90-degree angle. And I took the protractor and decided how big I wanted it to be. And it comes out smaller just because you have seams and those kind of things that you need to take into account. And I just did a circle, half circle from edge to edge and cut that out. And when you go to sew it, all you do is fold it in half and then do a 1/4 inch stitch along this square side, the straight side. So your paper is like this and you just fold it. So this is the top, and this was my pattern for the large strawberry. After you've stitched this, you simply run a gathering stitch with a needle and use heavy thread, or else when you pull your stitches up tight and you break your thread, you get really mad, especially after you've stuffed it, because then all the stuffing comes out and you have to restitch it. And I've done it a million times and I get so mad at myself every time I do it. So you have to I use button and craft thread, and you can also use like number 5 pearl cotton. That's strong enough. But even if you double sewing thread, it'll break on you. It makes me so mad. So you just run big like 1/4 inch stitches all around the top, stuff it down to the point. And then when you get it stuffed up to about 1/2 an inch from the top, you can start pulling your gathers and just tie a half knot and pull, and get it really tight. And it forms the top of the strawberry. You just pull it tight around your stuffing. And then I usually take those threads that I've gathered it with, and go back and forth and tie it tight and tie the whole together. You might have to put a little more stuffing in the top if it's not quite to the top. And on these, I just simply took some wool felt and my pinking shears and I didn't make a pattern for the leaves or anything. I just cut out leaves and stuck them on there. And I have a bunch of buttons and put them on there. But you can do lace, ribbon, you can put all kinds of stuff on there. These are pretty ordinary, pretty plain. You can stitch these down if you want to and put a foofy bow on top. I have some other strawberries that I've done that way. Here's one. Let me grab it real quick. As you can see, we're in my craft room and I have little sewing machines all over the place, all of these. And I have a couple pendants hanging up, and that's my, finger. That is my aunt's antique crystal chandelier. We didn't have any place else to hang it, so it had to go in my craft room. I love it. There's some more sewing machines over here. And there's my my Foff sewing machine that I do my sewing on is back there under the cover, and a bunch of stuff. I promise I'm going to do a craft room tour, but I have to dust. Oof, I hate to dust. So anyway, here is a strawberry I did that I kind of did the same kind of leaves. I just stitched down them just for fun. And then this is just a regular bow from a big satin ribbon. It might be silk, I don't know. And then I had made a little tiny strawberry to hang from it. And I did some fancy stitching down the seams. But it's the same idea as this one that I made up. I think I made up this one too. I usually can make, these are so simple, anybody could make a pattern from them. This is an Erica Michaels one I did. I think you've seen it before. And I followed her directions. This is how she does a lot of her tops. So she just makes kind of a scalloped flower shape. And then you tack it down in each of these little points. And it kind of makes it stand up a little and have some body. And then another flower on top with a leaf and just a little piece of major tape ribbon and a button on the top and some little pins. So you can use your imagination and just get in your trims drawer and your little tiny pieces of felt, or this is wool actually. Never throw any little pieces of wool away because you can always use them for these tiny little things. The great thing about wool and wool felt is it doesn't fray. If wool doesn't fray if it's been felted. And so you can just cut it and the edges will stay like that forever. And so that's another cute way to do them. But I did 3 patterns altogether. So this was the large one. Then I did a medium one. And then I did this little fat one. Well, the medium pattern is exactly like the large pattern on a corner of the page. Just exactly the same thing. It's just smaller. And again, you just fold it in half and stitch up the straight sides, turn it inside out, and gather the top. And you have your strawberry. For this little one that looks more like a strawberry to me, I used my protractor again and started on the straight edge of the paper and just did a half circle. And then I folded it in half, and this straight edge is the one you stitch up. If you stitch this edge, it may look like a strawberry. I don't know. I didn't try that. But I gathered the round edges are the tops, is how I remember. So the straight edge is the side seam and the round edge is the top that you want to gather. So I gathered it. I only put 3 leaves on this one and stuffed it, and it turned out a little smaller. But you can make them out of anything. You can make them out of quilting fabric. you know, anything you want. Like this one is just cotton quilting fabric. This one I stitched on, so it's linen. These are chenille bedspread. You can make them out of anything, and they're fun to display all together in a bowl or something, or in a little display of other things. You know, if you have some strawberry stitchery, put them in a bowl and throw these in there with them. They're super simple and they're really fun to make. So that's my little do-it-yourself tutorial. You don't need a pattern. You can make your own pattern. You can make them this big or this big. Anything you want. Just use your handy protractor. See, geometry does have some use in your life, even if you're a sewing person. In fact, it really does if you're a quilter. So let's see. I think I've showed, oh, one more thing. I didn't show you these. My husband, and that was another thing our friends Mary and Brad brought us. My husband makes little boxes out of rulers, yardsticks, I should say. This is one that he made me at first. I wanted a tiny one. So I have one of these little bitty baby tomatoes. I didn't make this. This is actually a Dritz one from Joann's that just fits in there. And it's just really cute. And then he made some this size. And I showed you at Christmas, he made one long and thin that I put 3 little snowmen in. It was about this size, only about this much longer. And you put little things in. Well, out of that size, he made me another one. And I had done these little festive fobs by Heartstring Samplers. She has a whole bunch of them. And I did this one over 2 on 40 count, I believe, to make it come out that size. You could do over 1 on Lugana, 25 probably, 28, and it would come out about that size. And I just mounted it, glued the middle, more precisely, to a piece of foam core, and then glued it in there and made a little bow and stuck it in there. And I think it's like adorable. So he can make these any size if anyone's interested in them. One this size, which is 2.5 by 2.5, would probably be $6, $7 maybe, plus shipping. So if you're interested in any of these things, Mary and Brad just brought us a whole huge batch of old yardsticks. You can stain them and have that show through. You can stain them with craft paint by just wetting it down, watering it down, and just running over it. Like if I wanted to stain this blue color, I'd just get craft paint that color and go over it with real thinned out with water so you could still see the numbers, but it would be blue. So you can do all kinds of stuff with them. I just think they're really fun. And he did get a bunch more yardsticks. He was out of yardsticks for a while, but he did get a bunch more. So if you want any of those, you can contact me on my Instagram, which is Lounsbury, Lounsbury, Kathy on Instagram, or it's sew, SEW, Stitchy on Instagram. You can message me and give me your dimensions and we'll figure out what the price would be and he could make some for you. Oh, my goodness. I think I've covered everything I have here on my table. So this was me and myself, my first time by myself. And I miss my Nancy. She's always good for a laugh and fill in all the places where I don't know what to say. But I guess we'll try. Life goes on in the Flosstube world. And here we are. So I'll be back in 3 or 4 weeks, and I got to run into Twin Falls and upload this at my sister's. Hopefully it works, and I will see you next time for Flosstube number 15. In the meantime, stay well, have fun. It's summer. Don't get burned. Cover up, put a hat on, and happy stitching. Bye.